Because I've moved around so much and I've had to relocate and reestablish myself so many different times, I've just found football is such a constant because you can't go anywhere without someone knowing it or loving it. Ole, 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 ole.
Welcome everybody to episode 26 of the Assyrian podcast. My name is Odessa and it is a pleasure to be your co-host for this week's episode as I had a chance to sit down with Tatiyana Shaba from Down Under in Sydney, Australia. Tatiyana developed a love for soccer very early in her life, and that inspired her later to create an audition video in 2015, which you may have seen floating around the internet as Assyrians and others from all over rallied together in voting for her to be a presenter for Copa 90, a platform that celebrates football fan culture globally. Well, she won, and the opportunity has allowed her to travel all over to capture true fan culture, something she's very passionate about and well immersed in. She also discusses how Twitter has allowed her to create community amongst Assyrians all over the world, something that Narden Sarkis of California has also made mention of in his article titled HomelandAza.com. Tatiyana's love for both her Assyrian culture and football are infectious, and I had a blast chatting with her. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to the Assyrian podcast community. We're so happy to have you here. Make sure to subscribe to be notified of each week's episode. And if you've been rocking with us for a while, we want to thank you and continue sharing episodes with your friends and family and show them how they can access any of our episodes. Also, a thank you to everyone who filled out our feedback form. We really appreciate what you had to say. With that said, we are looking for people to serve as co-hosts for their region, especially outside of North America, as we want to diversify our regions represented. So if you're interested, you can send us an email at assyrianpodcast@gmail.com. And finally, we want to thank John Oshana for being our first sponsor on the Assyrian podcast. John, thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. And if you are looking to sponsor or advertise with us on the Assyrian podcast, feel free to reach out to us on our email, again at assyrianpodcast@gmail.com. Now, without further ado, Tatiyana Shaba.
Thank you for having me.
Is this your first time in Canada?
It is. I've been meaning to come for so long, but every time I wanted to come, there's been something else where I haven't. So my cousin's getting married and I can't escape that, so I decided to go. Yeah.
I feel like that's always a nice incentive for Assyrians is to go to other places is a wedding. So
yeah, that's what it is. Like
absolutely.
Yeah.
So where do you live in Australia?
I live in Sydney, Australia. I've lived there since I was 16. Before that, I was living in New Zealand, and before that, I lived in Iran, where I was born. My parents are from Iraq. I fled to Iran and moved to New Zealand and then Australia. Yeah.
So paint a picture for us of what life was like growing up in New Zealand and especially the Assyrian community, as well as growing up in Sydney, Australia.
Growing up in New Zealand, we were one of the first set of Assyrian refugees. It wasn't like a humanitarian visa or anything like that. We were the first kind of round of them to come through. I think maybe some Assyrians arrived 87, 88, and then we got there in 91. I don't know how my parents did it. New Zealand couldn't be further away from the Middle East and so different, especially back then. Now I feel like the world feels much smaller, but back then it really felt like you were complete opposite corner of the world. So because of that, unlike Australia and the places in North America where Assyrians were settling from like the 60s, maybe earlier, there wasn't a community, so you build from scratch. And we were like a handful of families, in Wellington especially. There were Assyrians in Auckland. So a handful of families, and my memory of it is quite delightful. It was like a small, really tight-knit community. We'd all visit each other's house. Did you know that there was 10 families, So it was really nice. We were really close.
And what's the population of New Zealand, just in general, if you could guesstimate?
Population of New Zealand, I think it just hit 4 million, the whole of New Zealand.
Okay, the whole of it.
At this point, I think Assyrians in New Zealand, a couple of thousand.
Okay.
So it was really small. There was a period where lots of Assyrians migrating in, but most of them have sort of moved on to elsewhere. But yeah, it was tiny, but it was so nice. Our parties were we'd do whatever we could to feel, obviously we set up almost probably the first thing we needed to do. So there was this Presbyterian church Oh God, I remember it, like Father John Allen. That's how my dad
okay.
is. John Allen, I assume his name is.
Yeah.
Father John Allen. He was so wonderful. He looked like Santa Claus. So he let us use their church for our services, which was really lovely. And then behind the church, it was like a really creepy building, but we got to have Madrasa Tama. So we got to have a Syrian school there. Yeah, like New Zealand's, they're so welcoming. So everything was very basic.
Yeah.
Like,
And then how did your parents then go from there, or you as well, from there
Australia.
to then Australia?
So we had kind of, as families started migrating out and things got worse in Iraq, we had Auntie lived with us in New Zealand, and they decided that, you know, they had family in Australia that were kind of doing it a little bit better, and so they moved really early on, like 94. And then we just had like my grandma, like my mother's mum, all her siblings, my dad's sister, and like everybody kind of just located in Australia. And we found ourselves going back and forth in the summer a lot to see family. But yeah, they just got to a point where like my mum was like to dad, like, Basa, like it's a great place. It is a great place, great opportunities. She's like, it'd be great for the kids. And they just like kind of bit the bullet after dad really didn't want to leave, huh? He doesn't like change. So New Zealand was enough of a change. Yeah, bit the bullet after like 13 years and went to Sydney.
Wow.
I'm really grateful for having grown up there because it was small and I felt more comfortable. Sydney was quite overwhelming when I first moved. The Syrian community there is massive.
Like how many people would you guess?
I don't know, like 20, 30,000.
Oh,
like
wow.
that's and the Sydney geographically, like it's a big place and everything felt far and I felt like I have to start again and I don't know anybody but yeah, I've loved it for the last 14 years there.
And you went to university in Sydney as well?
Yeah, so I did my final 2 years of school in Sydney, my senior years, which is really annoying because I was doing really well in New Zealand, getting into leadership programs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was going to do an exchange in France, and then Mum's like, we're moving. I'm like,
Dang it.
thanks, Mum. Yeah, I did my final 2 years there. I did first year of university, I did visual communications because I was like, yeah, man, like graphics design and web art. Well, and then I'm actually not a really good creative person. I'm better with my words. So I changed over and I did journalism.
And you did journalism.
Yeah.
How did your parents take it? Were they open to it, or was it kind of a typical Assyrian response?
Like what I wanted to study. No, I've been obsessed with writing since I was a kid. Like they knew.
Okay.
If we stayed in New Zealand, I was going to have to move because in Wellington, the university that I wanted didn't offer journalism. So they knew like it was always going to be something like that. They're super supportive. Like they're like, just go to university. We don't care what you study.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, your major has led you to amazing opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, I studied journalism, but then like when you get into it, get in like newsroom. Let's do the story. Let's tell people what's really going on. And then you're like, oh, that's not what journalism is. And every place has a style guide, and you have to fit within what they're saying. And I, as a Middle Eastern, as like someone from Iraq and really knowing what's going on, and I was like, I don't know that I can do this. I feel like there are more important stories to tell, and I can't really talk. I don't want to write about a cat stuck in a tree, and that's where you have to start anyway. But so I kind of took a break and was like, I'm not sure. It was quite disheartening. And journalism isn't what it was, right? So you can't be a writer or be a copywriter or be an editor, or a photo. You have to be everything. Like you have to grab your camera, go find the story, tell the story, write the story, edit the story, take the photo. You know what I mean?
Wow, it's a lot.
Yeah, like when I was studying journalism, we had to learn everything, and you had to realize you had to be able to do like 6 jobs, and you're only going to get paid for the one, and barely that. So yeah, it was really disheartening. Like your dream job is like not your dream job, or not what you think it is. And at the time, I felt like I couldn't really maintain a stable income on it because they take advantage. Like it's what it is, right? They take advantage of young writers. People tell you to like submit your stuff, and at least you get published, but you're not really getting paid. And people I was studying with, they're not like first generation immigrants. Yeah, like my parents are still working and mortgages and stuff like that. I can't really stay at home and do it and not work and make money. So I had a job managing an orthodontics practice, but on the side I was always writing. I was always doing something. And this couple of years ago, this opportunity came up. Like I've always loved football. For me,
And football, not like...
Soccer.
Yeah, soccer. The correct way.
In New Zealand, it was cause it's such a rugby country. They're like, what do you mean you like soccer? I was like...
Tears.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always loved it. And I've always done whatever I could to be involved. And then a friend of mine, he was an Australian guy, he won a competition. It's like a YouTube channel called Copper 90, and they're like, win the best job in the world, we'll send you to Brazil to the Confederations Cup and blah, blah, blah. He made this little audition video, people voted, won, was living the dream. Like, I was looking at this guy, I was like, this guy is like traveling all over, making mini documentaries about clubs and derbies and blah, blah, blah.
And like, who would be funding this?
Copper 90, like the YouTube channel.
Oh, wow.
It's a footballing channel. Like, it's about, they focus on fan culture and fan stories. So, like, football is the core of what brings everyone together, but they focus on what comes out of it, rather. Not really, like, this person won and this is the score. For me, like, the cultural aspect of something like that was, like, everything. Because I've moved around so much and I've had to, like, relocate and reestablish myself so many different times, I've just found football is such a constant because you can't go anywhere without someone knowing it or loving it.
Wow.
So it's been like my, like, if I need to make conversation, I feel... That's my only constant. And that's my tool for relating or tool for communicating. As soon as I get through that, and then I'm able to talk about other things. And I've always used it. Like, I didn't realize till I was older that I did it, but I've always done that. So I'm like, oh, okay. So when I found out about Copper 90 and they were doing these kind of stories about the game, about bringing people together and about what it does, and I was like, yeah, no, this is amazing. So yeah, he was doing that. I was like, that's cool, you know. And I was in Brisbane for a game once, and he recognized me from Twitter. He's like, oh, you're Tatiyana from Twitter. I'm like, that's me.
And at that point, did you have like a big presence on Twitter? And
like, I think on Twitter, there's based on like who you are, like your community, like whether it's your cultural community or sporting, you know each other. So we call it soccer Twitter because we make fun in Australia.
Nice.
So like there's like a soccer Twitter community. So he's like, oh, and Australians who like football know each other. So yeah, so we spoke and he's like, oh, are you going to Brazil? At the time I was going to go to Brazil for the World Cup. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, we should link up. We became friends and I would follow a story. And then like a year after the World Cup, I was having a bit of a tough time. Just like, what am I doing? Like a midlife crisis. Like,
what am I doing with my life?
I was in my
Where am I going?
Yeah, I was like, oh, woe is me. And he had posted a Copper 90 looking for correspondents from each continent around the world. Submit your video. And at the time I hadn't written in ages. I hadn't done anything media related in a long time. And I remember being in the shower and being like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. So whatever.
The best ideas come out of the shower.
Yeah, really, honestly. I was crying for like a solid 10 minutes. And I went out. So I was like, okay. So I kind of I bought some equipment. Like I had an SLR anyway, but like I went and got a road mic, I got a tripod, and I knew I did a storyboard, like I knew what my audition video wanted to be. I set up a whole bunch of stuff, went on location. I took my bed out because I was like trying to show that my bedroom was a football field. So like, can you imagine, like I'm taking my Dusheka out the house and I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, Mom, I'll bring it back.
Don't worry.
She literally was like, where is that going? I was like,
ask me in 2 hours, it'll be back in place.
So I helped, like my best friend took the day off. Like one of my best friends took the day off work. She called in sick. And my little sister, who was like 14 at the time, loves Copper 90 as well. So she's like, oh my God, if she get a job there. She didn't go to school because she was sick. And they helped me set up like the goal post, and I put like all my things on it and put it, whatever. Did it, edited it, and I submitted it. And my friend Ellie that works for them saw my submission because I linked it to my Facebook, and he's like, what the heck? I'm running this competition. Why didn't you tell me? I was like, oh, I didn't want it to be like, hey, you're my friend. Here's my audition video. Yeah. He's like, but are you joking? Lost his mind. Took the video into the office the next day. I was like, you guys have to watch this.
But if football's involved, I always feel at home.
When I was a little girl, I didn't just fall in love with this game. I fell in love with the feeling, and I've spent the last 20 years of my life chasing that feeling. It's taken me all over the world. I've broken bank accounts, remote controls, curfews. Anything just to feel it. It's a feeling I know everyone at Copper 90 understands, because it's a feeling that Copper 90 capture in their videos. And that's why I want to be a part of your team. It's really just that simple.
but we've already picked our finalists, you know. And he's like, yeah, but like the cutoff time isn't, you know, you at least have to watch it. And the watcher, they're like, crap, okay. So I went through like a bit of a process of like a couple of different interviews with different producers, and then like was selected as a finalist with 2 other people like in Australia, and they came out. I got to film with them, the crew came out from London. I had a story put together, we filmed it, and then the others did, and then theirs went up, we all went up, and it went up. So it was a voting situation.
And who was voting?
Public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And my mother, my God, like everyone's like, this is my daughter, please.
That's the best.
If she listens to this, she'll be upset. She's like, Tatiyana, I don't have an accent. She's an interpreter. Yeah, and that was really cool because I had Assyrians from all over the world like sending me messages like, we voted for you. I'm like, thank you. Yeah, and I ended up winning. It was wild.
Yo, that is unreal.
Yeah.
And how many votes did you get? Do you remember?
They didn't tell me. So there was another girl, she was like Greek, and my friend was like, yo, okay, so the Greek community in Australia is massive, but I know the Assyrian community around the world is huge. I'm like, yeah.
We got each other's back.
Yeah. And he's like, get on it. I'm trying. I'm not really good at self-promoting. But like Assyrian Comedy Club on like Facebook posted my video, and all these different youth. It was like so amazing. And people,
now that I'm thinking about it, I think I remember
Oh
that.
my
and I
God.
think I remember voting for it.
It's so weird.
Anytime there's something, it's like, yes.
There's an Assyrian, yeah. My cousin's like, I spent 3 hours. I just kept voting. I'm like, oh, only 1 vote counts because like they look at your IP address.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
But thank you. But yeah, I ended up, God, it was such a whirlwind. Yeah, I won that. I got to make a documentary about my football club, and since then, like,
And when you say football, your football club, what does that mean?
the team I support.
Oh, okay.
In Sydney, like
I see.
Western Sydney Wanderers. Yeah. So I got to do that. But before that, when I just won the like finalist, and I had become a finalist. The podcast, I used to listen to it, the Wanderers podcast. The boys reached out and said, hey, do you want to do a guest spot? I was like, yeah, cool. They're like, we could help promote your, I was like, yeah. And then after like 2 guest spots, they're like, we really want you to be a member of the team. And, I'm like, okay, cool.
To join their podcast.
To join the podcast, yeah. And I became the first like female panelist on the podcast. I've never been more blown away by it. There was just like a silly thing I decided to do when I was in the shower one day, to get my mind off anything else. And I had no idea. It like kind of re-sparked my love for telling stories, and kind of just made me like appreciate my community, because I always did, but something like that, and my family, and it was just what I was feeling before. It was like, what am I doing with my life, and woe is me. And like on the other side of things, like, God, I have such great things around me. Like, what a silly thing to think at one point. Like,
but it's totally natural too. I mean,
many
of us get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's like unreal though.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then what? The documentary, they came and did a documentary.
Yeah,
about
they
yourself.
did it, released it. We discussed what we were gonna do, and I gave them a few things. I gave them on location things. Like, I wanted to do football in Fiji, and they're like, we're not taking you to Fiji.
Nice try, right?
Like, cute. But we think, because the club, like my club, actually like had accomplished amazing things, considering they were only a couple of years formed, and won like the Asian Champions League. It was a really fantastic story.
Are you a player in the club?
No.
Okay.
I wish.
Okay.
Goodness. And then since then, I've been able to kind of, because they're London based, I've been able to stay in Sydney, and then I just kind of, because I have a full-time job and I do my thing, but I'm able to, they'll like set me up, like they'll send me like things, that like do little pieces for them and things like that, help them with research and things like that. And then there's like perks of the job. Like 2 years ago, they sent me, they're like, what are you going to do for the Euros? I was like, well, probably watch it from my couch. They're like, would you like to come to Paris? I'm like, I very much would. They're like, would you like to bring a friend? I'm like, is this a joke? Yeah, so I like called up one of my best mates. I was like, mate, we're going to Paris next week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and really, I mean, it's not really shula. Like, it's not working. It's like, go to Paris, have a good time, hop on the Snapchat, you know what I mean? Hop on the socials, show us how it's going, go out. 'Cause, like, again, it's not so much about the game, but about the surroundings of the game, the vibe, the fans, the feelings, the culture, everything. The culture clashes, the culture merges, everything beautiful that comes out of it. Like, they wanted me to go to, like, restaurants and see people sitting together. You know, like, that's not work, man. Like, yeah, I've been able to do some really amazing things. And so with Russia, I was always going to go.
With or without them sort of assigning you?
I was always going to go. And politically, there were, like, you know, UK-Russia issues. So the home, like, sort of the head office weren't sure how big of a team they could send or would send to Moscow. So it was going to be a bit of a more downsized thing. So they're like, we're not sure. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm going to go anyway. Like, I'm not going to miss this. And they're like, well, we're going to get you. Like, if you're coming, we got you sorted. Like, we'll pick you up. Make sure you're, you know, like, they'll put me up wherever they're staying, and which is probably half the price of everything anyway. Like, it's, you know. So they did that, but then it just kind of worked out. And what they've done is, again, like, touching on the cultural thing, they've set up, like, a clubhouse in Moscow where people can come and watch the game, but they're also having, like, exhibitions and, like, talking about how art and football come together, fashion and football come together, and showing documentaries in between games, and, like, a really cool place. It's like the space is amazing. It's like an old warehouse, and they've, like, set it up with a bar, and they said, look, we want to have a panel about female football fandom and how females are changing the game, and could you be here to host the panel for us? I'm like, yep.
Oh,
like, that is exactly what I love doing. Yeah, and so, like, I got to go and host this panel and speak to 2 local Russian girls who work in fashion but also football, and 2 girls from England. And just hearing their stories, they're opposing, you know, the English girls are like, you know, we want everything to be really authentic and fans to be authentic. And the Russian girls are like, we just want to be able to play without men laughing at us. Like, the cultural, like, spectrum, like, the differences. Yeah, so that was really amazing. And, well, the Women's World Cup is next year. So they asked me to go to London for a meeting with some people. I don't know how, like, under wraps it is.
Okay.
But yeah, just talking about putting together a campaign to really, like, champion for the sport for women. It's in France next year, so they think it's a really good, not just like because it's growing, women's football, but I think that will be, like, the World Cup has the potential of being, like, amazing and, like, this kind of catalyst into bringing it to the forefront as, like, a full-on competition. And so, yeah, they kind of had me there, like, to sit on a presentation and just, like, consult with me about what really women want for the sport.
Yeah.
Which was really amazing to have people, like, actually want to hear what I have to say and take it on board. And so if that thing happens, if it might be, like, working towards campaigning for the Women's World Cup. Which is,
oh my gosh, that is...
Yeah.
Is that, like, a dream?
Yeah. Like, football has always been a dream, but, like, watching it grow for women. My younger sister loves football, and she's got more opportunities than I ever had, and that's amazing to see already. And to be able to know that it could get better is, like,
where does your love of football come from?
94, I used to, like, just... My dad and uncle used to get up and watch the games in the World Cup, and I used to just go and hang out. Like, my father, I'm sure he's like a lot of Assyrian fathers, like, not much conversation.
Wow.
So I'd just sit with him just to spend time with him, and then he would talk to me like, oh, and I'd enjoy it, like, his conversations with my dad. And then, yeah, I just, like, latched onto it. And then now he just thinks I'm crazy. Like.
Well, you're like, thanks, Dad. It's because of you. I got my love for soccer.
It's my dad and my uncles. Yeah. So, yeah.
And talk to me a little bit about, like, what is female fandom like? What kind of remarks or questions or comments do you hear from people when...
It's a struggle.
When they find out, your love for football?
Is it a struggle? I mean, it is. It's different. So, like, if someone finds out I'm a, like, football fan, like, who do you think is hot or something? I'm like, yeah, all right, bro. Like, fine. And I've had someone, I remember I was wearing, like, an old school jersey from somewhere, and it's like, this guy came up to me, he's like, can you even name a player? And my best friend, she's like, you don't want to play this game, honestly. Turn around and go. It's going to be embarrassing. Yeah, look, I think social media has helped so much. One of the girls on the panel, she is a Leicester City fan in the UK. She was taking photos, and she just realised there weren't enough women in photos, but she knew a lot of female football fans. So she went out and started taking photos of Leicester City fans, and then it kind of, like, she started an Instagram page called This Fangirl, and she couldn't believe the response because I think females were so hungry to see fellow female football fans represented, and it kind of shot off. And so then she just like kind of goes around the UK and takes photos of like amazing fans at games, female fans, and they're just registered as a legit organization now, and they've been doing partnerships with Nike and Adidas, and like like we're hungry for it. I think it's there, and I definitely think social media has helped it become more of a norm. Like, oh, okay, that's normal. A girl that's a football fan, like. But for me, it's always been like I always feel like I have to prove myself before being taken serious, especially if someone sees you as like a football journalist. It's like, yeah,
you feel like you have certain things to prove before you get the respect.
Constantly, and we did a podcast like a merger with the boys I do a podcast with called The State of the Game, just what's happening in the game administration wise, whatever, player wise, team wise, money wise, with Fox Football, which is huge. They invited us to their studios and we had set it up and it was all good. And on the way there, one of my I was like really, really stressed out. Like I couldn't sleep. I was like really anxious, and my co-host was like, "What's wrong, man?" Like I'm like, I'm so nervous. He's like, why? You know your stuff better than anyone I know. Like, I'm not sure why you're so stressed. I'm like, yeah, but he's like, you're cool. You know, I'm like, but the thing is, what you don't understand is when you say something, like if you say your opinion or something as a matter of fact, or like a fact, be like, oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Is that what it is? Cool. When I say it, people are like, no, that can't be right. It gets scrutinized 3-4 times before anybody everything's taken with a grain of salt if I say it, you know, and it doesn't matter how much I research and how much I know, they just, you know, we're not used to hearing it from, you know, and for him it was like really bizarre. It's like, but we all like love you. I'm like, I know, you guys are great, like you're fantastic, but so there's in Australia, tangent again, there's a sport broadcaster, SBS, or World Game, and one of the main hosts, she's a female, Lucy Zelich. This year they only had the rights to like a handful of games, so they were going to do like a game every 3 days or whatever, but the person that had the main rights, they screwed up the broadcasting or whatever. Like it was bad. They weren't able to handle how many people were watching it, so they had to give the rights back over to SBS. So this woman and her co-host Craig Foster, 2 people, have gone from having to cover 1 game every 3 days to 3 games a day for 2 weeks. Right, so already things are bad. She has been scrutinized because people don't like the way she pronounces players' names. I mean, this hit like national news in Australia. This woman who's probably sleeping 2 hours a day at this point, like because she pronounces them, like she'll speak and then she'll say like Guillermo, you know, like she'll pronounce it with the right pronunciation, but they're like, it sounds so, you know,
like she's trying
wanky.
too hard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's trying so hard to sound like she knows. It's like, well, actually, if you know Les Murray, he was like a really, really famous football presenter in Australia. He passed away last year. He was her mentor, and for him, he was a Hungarian immigrant who'd come to Australia and had to like sell this game to Australians. And for him, as an immigrant, where people usually don't pronounce your names right and don't care. For him, he said that's the biggest respect you can give someone is to call them right by their right name. So he would always pronounce names to a T, like amazing. Like everybody knows Les Murray, like in Australia, Les Murray's pronunciations are on top because that's the least you can give a player is respect them that much.
I think Assyrians could relate to that.
100%. That hit home to me. I'm like, yeah, I've been called everything. So that's her mentor. So he's taught her that. So she's done that. I'm like, so how come no one ever gave him slack for doing that? And she has been, I mean, like they addressed it on air. She was crying on air. Like, she's like, are you joking, man? Like, she could wipe the floor with you with her football knowledge and you're going to criticize her because
she's pronouncing people's names right?
Yeah. And last World Cup, because she dyed her hair blonde, she got, like, it's... Ugh.
Right.
So that's where we're at.
Okay.
There are good people and there are bad people.
When does the World Cup end?
On the 15th of July.
Oh, okay. So by the time this airs, it'll be August. Because I was going to ask you, who do you think is going to win? But...
am I going on air? I know, France.
Well, I'll ask you this. Who is your favorite football team?
Club or country?
Both.
Okay, I guess it rolls on because my people in Australia are like, why do Assyrians like all support Italy and Germany? Like, because we don't have a country.
Yeah.
Brazil, because 94 I watched them win the World Cup and I loved it, and 98 I was like obsessed. Like, they were superheroes to me. And there was a player, Roberto Carlos, on the team who I adored, and then he ended up playing for Real Madrid, and even though Real Madrid as a club now kind of goes against everything I believe as an adult, what they represent, but I've supported them since I was 8 years old. I don't know. Yeah, so Real Madrid and Brazil, which is probably the most cheesiest answer.
And who would you say is your favorite player of all time?
Roberto Carlos.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hands down.
absolutely. The guy was like, he was a defender that scored goals that were like mind blowing. He was fast down the wing, and he was short like me.
But swift?
But so swift. My goodness. Yeah, that guy.
Jimmy Durmaz
Yeah.
recently has gotten a lot of press for the sort of racism that he's been hit with as a result of the foul that he made, right?
He gave away a foul like the dying minutes of the game.
Your thoughts on that?
To be honest,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Racism for all the good that comes out of football, like, you can't, like, there's like the kind of racism some players face is, you know, like some like African players, like if they're playing in Italy and stuff, like they get bananas thrown at them. That's one player, Dani Alves, he's Brazilian. He had a banana thrown at him at a game before he was about to take a kick. He picked up the banana, he ate it, he took a bite, threw it away, and then scored a goal. It was the best thing that ever happened. It was bloody amazing.
That's the best revenge.
Yeah, look, I mean, I guess with every sport, there's a really, really nasty aspect to it.
Yeah.
But what I love seeing football fans like get together and like push towards a good, like, for me there's more good that outweighs like the bad. Like, the good stories I've heard about humanity is like everything.
Yeah.
Compared to, yeah.
And I just think it's so cool that we had an Assyrian like playing like that.
We had one last year.
Who?
Not last year, last World Cup. It might be Betash, but he played
Stephen Badasha.
He played for the Iranian
Yeah.
team.
Okay, yes,
Yeah, he
yes,
played in the last World Cup.
He actually used to play for the team here, but he's now in LA.
Yeah. He
So
played
we had
here.
him here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I always like.
You're right.
I always keep my mind on Assyrian players all the time. It's funny, like soccer Twitter or like Twitter, the Twitter universe, or everyone there's like two things they know about me is like Assyrian and football. And when Syria came, they played a qualifier game against Australia, like to make it to the World Cup last year. Lots of Assyrians went, obviously, because a lot of Assyrians are from Syria, and so there were lots of Assyrian flags. And like this one guy was like, Tatiyana like tweeted me, he's like, I saw an Assyrian flag at the game. Was that you? And I was like, not me, but I did have an Assyrian flag. Like, not me, but there were a lot of Assyrians. And this guy's like, and another person was like, you were trying to be nice, but like you all of a sudden seem like generalizing racist because you're like, it's an Assyrian flag, it must be Tatiyana. Like,
You're like, I appreciate that.
yeah, but I do, and I love it because like people will link me to things now. Like, non-Assyrians will link me to things like, I thought you'd find this amazing. Did you know that this player used to be this came from here? And a friend of mine, like actually Ellie, like who sent me this amazing like article about this like Assyrian player that overcame so many things like in the 60s, and you know they did an article about like Jimmy Durmaz, like about you know, like he was this player was blah 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 and he was harassed for being Muslim, and get that fact right. Like our identity is like dwindling as it is. Like, let's get this right. And there are a lot of Assyrians responding saying, hey, actually, like, while it's horrible altogether, maybe get this fact right as well, you know. And I was looking at a lot of the replies and like, he couldn't be whiter. Like, his name is Ben Williams, you know, from Melbourne. He was like, I think it's really important that you get the identity right. He's actually like Assyrian of Syriac Orthodox. Like, he nailed it. And I was like, guys.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Guys, yeah. So I love that through football, like all my football friends know about Assyrians. I have football friends who travel the world and they'll take photos at like the British Museum. Like, Tat, I'm with your friend. Thanks, guys. I love it. It's so amazing to me.
Which you touch on a good point where it's like so often within Assyrian functions, like we share things just amongst ourselves, and it's also just equally as important to be able to share out our culture because we get to share it with other people, but also those people get to know about us and are reminded of us whenever these types of circumstances or situations happen.
Like whenever I can, I'm in. Like a friend of mine said, like last year, I was like, "Do you think you're gonna go to Russia?" I'm like, "Yeah, I really want to go to the World Cup." But also, there's a Assyrian, like Russian Assyrian community there, so I really want to. He's like, "That's the most Tatiyana thing that I've ever heard in my life." I gotta do both, and wherever I can. Like for the panel, I was wearing my Assyriska jersey because I want people to ask me what it is. I did a piece to camera for like a Nike research thing, and I wore a hoodie that I got from Assyrian Festival in New Zealand from the Chabad Association. It's got this like lamasu on the. I was like, I'm gonna wear this. I'm gonna make sure it's in shot. Like, wherever.
So you're very intentional about
100%. Everything I do, I like try and insert it. Even in my audition video, I was like made a point that I was Assyrian. I made sure like they got shots of Assyrian flags where they could like, yeah. I'm indoctrinating. It's all good.
Let it be known.
Yeah.
Tatiana.
Everybody is fully aware. There is not one football fan in Australia that doesn't know that I'm Assyrian.
Love it. So you talked a lot about Twitter.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that the Twitter community, the Assyrian Twitter community, is one that is very tight-knit and that knows no boundaries, right? Like they're from all over, and that there's these really have potential to be really intimate and close relationships through this platform. You've been one of those people that has developed those types of relationships. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I just lost my voice. I've just gained it back. There's been a few penalty shootout games. I've been losing my voice. Twitter, for me, honestly, this is going to sound so lame, like has changed my life for the better so much, because even the Copper 90 thing, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have known about it from the get-go. I wouldn't have had that, my football community support me and blah, blah, blah. Assyrian Twitter is, I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but you kind of form these connections because you already relate. You already do. Before then, the way I used to connect with Assyrians in the diaspora was, unfortunately, through horrible things that happened. You know, like bad things would happen, and we'd all get together because we're like, we need to do something. So like 2010, the church bombing
in Iraq.
I drove to there was like the worldwide Black March kind of thing, and someone's like, look, we're gonna get together in Sydney and whatever, and I went because I was like, let me see what I can do. I want to do something, and like I met someone there, and like I met a group of people, but then because it was going to be a worldwide thing, I started looking for people kind of around the world who were doing it, and then you start talking. It's like, okay, so what are you guys doing and whatever, and like through like honestly probably one of the worst things that I'd ever seen, I formed like these amazing like friendships. And because you're coming together to do the same thing, you're relatively like-minded because you're on the same point. It's like, crap, what can I do? Like I get to go home every day to this house and be safe, and like, but I can't be there. I don't want to though. So you're already like-minded there, and then like, so the foundation is already so like solid. Then it goes from there, and then, I mean, the unfortunate thing about being Assyrian is it comes in waves, right? It never really stops. And so, like 2014, we were in Brazil when we found out about Mosul, and Khalti, who was with me, she was a couple years older than me, but also a huge football fan. We were in Sao Paulo for like 3 days. We didn't leave our hotel because we just like,
what a time.
Like,
yeah.
And we were so far away from our families as well. And she grew up she was in Iraq till she was like 17. So for her, it's like really at home. I got back after the World Cup, and again, what can I do? And who can I meet? And whatever. And again, you know, you start doing this and you start linking up worldwide, and then again you make friends and they last and they stick around, and a good thing comes out of it, and you connect with like Assyrians around the world, and through that, like, you know, I've made friends like Max in London. you know, he does amazing things, the writing like Mardine does, and then you find out about like conferences and then all of a sudden like you see like some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, because at that point it's like so dark and you're like, there's nothing we can do, we're so helpless, we've got nothing, we've got no one wants to help us, we can't help anybody, I can't do anything, like apart from tweet about it, what do I do? And then you get to meet these people and you're like, oh my god, oh okay, you're working on the politics side of things, oh okay, you're working on the humanitarian side of things, and we're so like networked and connected. It's like, let me connect you with this person, and someone linked me to Helen Melker, who lives in New York, because I was going to New York. Like, well, you should like talk to Helen, and we got to say, well, she's amazing, she does amazing work, and then she linked me to this person, and it's like, it's the most beautiful network of people, and it's the only thing that keeps you going, because otherwise you're like, oh, we're doomed. We're actually doomed.
And when you came here, many of the people that you have met here, many of the Syrians you have met here, have been Assyrians that you met on Twitter.
Yeah, like even Chicago. I went to Chicago on the wave.
Oh, Chicago.
So Moscow, Chicago, Toronto, via. The only reason I went there is because like I'd made these amazing Assyrian friends. I'm like, you know what, guys, like, I'm so close. I'm just gonna fly over. Yeah. And they all just, it's so overwhelming because they all took they cleared out their Friday. They're like, Tatiyana's in town, like, and we all hung out. And some friends, like non-Assyrian friends, like, so you're just gonna go like meet someone you don't know? I'm like, but I do. They're like, so you're just gonna like go, and you go into their house, like it's like, hi khalti, like hi khalta dakhit, you know, and then like, you know this person? I'm like, oh, I don't. It's funny, I was in Chicago, like one of the moms was like, do you know my family in Sydney? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
We're far too many.
And then she's like, yeah, her name is Stella. I was like, oh my god, Bakhtat Zaya, yes. You know, like, but you do, like, it already feels like home, like, because you're basically family already, and that's the best thing to come out of like living in diaspora. Someone said the other day, it's like our whole lives we were taught, don't speak to Nukhraya, like don't speak to strangers, and she's like, but we have to, because, and then she just posted this photo of like all different people who've in the last 6 months met up through like Twitter and stuff, but our core base is wanting to do something that's best we can for Assyrians. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's the best thing to come out of it. It's amazing. My auntie's I came to stay with my aunt here, and I'm only here for a week, but I do like I have different groups of friends here now. And so she's like, how do you know so many people? I don't know this man. I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's really, I think I have a bigger Assyrian friendship base outside of Australia than I do in Australia. Like, it's my cousins and, you know, but like outside of Australia, I've got I've got a friend. I've got a friend in Finland. We're good. We're in London. Wherever I go, I'm good.
Yeah, you always have at least one person.
But it's the best thing, and you learn so much about other people's experiences as well, where they grew up and how they grew up Assyrian, because that's different as well. Like how Assyrian you grew up.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you just some random Assyrian-related questions and think of the first thing that comes to mind. Your favorite type of Assyrian dance? Do you dance Assyrian?
Love Khika. Okay. Love it.
Like Yakura?
Yeah, like I cry like Yakura, like when the beat drops and it gets like super fast. That's fun. I love dancing Tula. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Assyrian artist?
Her name is Agnes Ishak. And she was in New Zealand with us, and she was my first taste of art in general, and it just so happened to be she was an Assyrian artist, and she was female. It was the first, it's like so weird, it's like in the 90s, Assyrians who have absolutely nothing, and she was having like exhibitions, you know, like I went to my first art gallery, it was hers, it was just like a little white space with some stuff. She paints some really empowering things, female empowering, but also she paints some painful stuff, because their journey out of Iraq wasn't an easy one either. So yeah, like I absolutely adore her things. I'll show you.
Yeah, I'd love to see her
and
work.
And what I love the best is her daughter Ilona now, amazing artist as well. And I'm like, yes.
Your favorite Assyrian singer?
Ooh, Ewan, because I'm like, we're kind of like, because I was born in Iran and he's from Iran, so. But Ninos David is actually my cousin, so I should probably say Ninos. He's from Zambi. I adore him.
Yeah. Okay. What would you like to see more of within the Assyrian community?
I think it's getting better. Like women in the community having a stronger voice is definitely getting better, and I think that's one of the great things that I've come across on Assyrian Twitter is the Assyrian men for the most part, it's the Assyrian men on Assyrian Twitter love uplifting Assyrian women on Assyrian.
That's refreshing.
It's amazing. One of my friends was like, I love that of all the Assyrian men that are like obsessed with football, it's an Assyrian woman that's like really gotten herself into it. Yeah, I really adore that. So yeah, like not only do I want to see like Assyrian women support other Assyrian women, I want to see more Assyrian men support, and they do, like it's getting much better, but I'd like to see more of it.
What piece of advice would you have for somebody who is in the position in their life that you were in at one point of questioning everything, asking like, what am I doing with my life? What should I do with my life?
I mean, that would assume that I know what at this point I know what I'm doing, which I still don't. It's so simple to say, like, just try and find something that makes you happy or whatever, but it definitely is, because the reason why I got to that point is because I was stuck in a rut of safety. I was like, the job I was working was fine, good job, but it was very same thing over and over, and like I got stuck in a bubble of this is fine, and sometimes this is fine gets kind of like too much. So it was a massive risk, but I do recommend taking the risk. Like, even if you take little risks every couple of years instead of taking like a massive step, like I don't recommend that everybody should quit their job, backpack around Europe, but if there's something that you want to do, suss it out. I know people who've wanted to like live overseas, but they're like, I could never, or people are like, how do you do it? Like, try, like the idea of going all the way from Australia to Moscow. I'm like, yeah, but it's like an airline ticket. And but the idea of it can be really overwhelming. I understand that, because I used to think that when I was younger. But just test the waters, dip your feet, do the research, be like, okay, so like if I were to go, what would be involved? How much would it cost? Maybe let's like start there. Do I need a visa? Like just do the research just for a year, just like kind of get a really good idea of it, because it's really daunting to think that you could do that. But don't get stuck in fine. We deserve so much better than fine. Yeah. So much better than fine. Yeah. So just take a little bit of just tiny risks.